Sybil Trelawney predictions refer to the two prophecies and the many predictions Sybil made over the course of her life. Both of these prophecies and many of her predictions came true, while the others didn't. Trelawney was a seer and a descendant of the renowned seer Cassandra Trelawney, and was the first in her family to possess the gift of the inner eye. A prophecy is usually given by a seer involuntarily. In a trance-like state, they speak in a different voice and do not seem to remember the events taking place. They will be left exhausted, like Sybil Trelawney, who was thinking that she had dozed off. A prophecy may be placed into spun-glass objects, such as a ball, which is known as a prophecy record. They should then be put in the Hall of Prophecy in the Department of Mysteries, which is a room in the Ministry of Magic. They would be named and protected by guards to keep them safe. Only those who the prophecy refers to have the authority to move them, but once they have, the prophecy can be stolen without any consequences. So in this video, we're going to see every prophecy and prediction Trelawney made, but only the ones that came true. Sybil Trelawney made two prophecies, both of which came true. First prophecy was the famous one, which she made about the defeat of Lord Voldemort by Harry Potter's hand. The one with the power to vanquish the Dark Lord approaches, born to those who have tried to find him. Born as the 7th month dies, and the Dark Lord will mark him as his equal, but he will have power the Dark Lord knows not, and either must die at the hand of the other, for neither can live while the other survives. She made her prophecy in the presence of Albus Dumbledore. He then hired Trelawney in the hope of protecting her. This prediction came true after Voldemort marked Harry Potter as his equal, and this ultimately led to his defeat twice. Sybil Trelawney's second prophecy was about Voldemort's return. The Dark Lord lies alone and friendless, abandoned by his followers. His servant has been chained these 12 years. Tonight before midnight, the servant will break free and set out to rejoin his master. The Dark Lord will rise again with his servant's aid, greater and more terrible than ever he was. Trelawney made this one in 1984, and everything she said came to be. When the prophecy was made, Harry assumed that the servant who had been chained for 12 years was Sirius Black. It actually referred to Peter Pettigrew, who after faking his death, remained in hiding in his Animagus form for 12 years, who broke free that night and set out to find Lord Voldemort. The following year, Pettigrew helped Voldemort rise again, when he brought the potion which gave Voldemort a physical form again. Sybil made many predictions, and a lot of them did come true. The first one was the Grim. The Grim, my dear, the Grim. The giant spectral dog, the hand towards yards. My dear boy, it is an omen, the worst omen, of death. In his first divination lesson, Sybil had Harry and her other students read tea leaves. When Sybil looked into Harry's cup, she screamed and said she now sees the Grim, which is an omen of death. The Grim is the form of a spectral dog. She then predicted Harry's death for the first time. Harry did face his death in the Battle of Hogwarts. However, Sybil didn't see at the time the connection to Sirius Black. Sirius Black's Patronus was a big black dog. Spectral could also be used to describe Sirius' appearance. Perhaps the Grim was also a foreshadowing of Harry meeting Sirius by the end of the school year. Parvati's warning. By the way, my dear, she shot suddenly at Parvati Patter. Beware a red-haired man. Sybil told Parvati that she would be aware of a red-haired man. It is possible that she was referring to the way Ron Weasley will treat her sister when he will invite her to the Yellow Boy in the next year. She was warning her sister that Ron and her will have a terrible time together. He will ignore her and not even going to dance with her. 13 at the dinner table. I dare not, said Master. If I join the table, we shall be 13. Nothing could be more unlucky. Never forget that when 13 dine together, the first to rise will be the first to die. Trelawney noted that there will be 13 persons at the table if she sits with them. She claimed the first to rise will be the first to die. However, unknown to the others, Ron carried Scabbers in his pocket, seeing that it was secretly Peter Pettigrew in Animagus form that made 13 already at the table before Trelawney sat down. So if Pettigrew were counted as one of them, Dumbledore was the first to rise, and he was indeed the first of that group to die, making the prediction true. The loss of a student. And around Easter, one of our number will leave us forever. It was said by Sybil in a divination lesson that one of her students will be leaving the class forever at Easter 1994. Easter takes place in spring, which is when exactly Hermione Granger stormed out her lesson and never returned to the divination classroom. The 16th of October. Incidentally, that thing you were dreading, it will happen on Friday the 16th of October. Sybil told Lavender Brown that the thing she was dreading would happen on 16 October. This came true because on that day, Lavender received a letter telling her that her pet rabbits have been killed by a fox. Even though Sybil didn't explain about what Lavender was dreading, Lavender did say that she was obviously dreading him dying. The pink and blue cups. After you've broken your first cup, would you be so kind as to select one of the blue patterned ones? I'm rather attached to the pink. Neville Longbottom was told by Sybil that he would break a pink cup. She asked him to use blue one next because she knew he would break a second cup and hoped it wasn't another of her beloved pink ones. This can be counted as a true prediction because Neville did actually broke both cups. Professor Lupin. If you must know, Minerva, I have seen that poor Professor Lupin will not be with us for very long. He seems aware himself that his time is short. He positively fled when I offered to crystal case for him. Sybil says at Christmas lunch that she does not think Professor Lupin will be with him much longer. This is true, since he left the school at the end of the year. Sybil said that when she was doubted by Professor McGonagall, she might have made up the comments about him not being with them much longer. She probably deduced this without the inner eye, because he says he seemed to think his time there was short too. And it is also well known, no defense against the dark arts teacher stays more than a year since a curse was put on by Voldemort. Midwinter. I was saying that Saturn was surely in a position of power in the heavens at the moment of your birth. Your dark hair, your mean stature, tragic losses so young in life. I think I'm right in saying, my dear, that you were born in Midwinter. Sybil started teaching her students about the position of planets at the time of their birth, might predict their future or give insight into who they are. She seemed to deduce that Harry was born under Saturn, which meant he was born in Midwinter. At the time, this was obviously ridiculous, because as Harry pointed out, he was born at the end of July in summer, but Sybil was making some kind of sense in the end after all. Harry was a Horcrux, which meant he possessed a part of Voldemort's soul inside him. Voldemort was in fact born in the middle of winter on December 31, so this can be counted as a true prediction. The cards. 2 of spades, conflict, 7 of spades, an ill omen, 10 of spades, violence, knave of spades, a dark young man, possibly troubled, one who dislikes the questioner. In 1987, Sybil dealt a number of cards on her own. She dealt in total 4 cards. She later told Harry that every card has a connection to Dumbledore's death soon after. The first card dealt was the 2 of spades, which means conflict. Conflict soon came when the Death Eaters managed to get into the school. The second card dealt was the 7 of spades, which is also known as an ill omen. It was the Death Eaters again, bringing bad news to the school. The third card dealt was the 10 of spades, which means violence. Violence followed in the Death Eaters' path. She then dealt the 4th card, which was the knave of spades. She says this means a dark young man, possibly troubled, one who dislikes the questioner. In connection to Dumbledore's death, it makes sense that the young man is Draco Malfoy, who disliked Dumbledore. It is worth noting every card was a spade. In tarot connotation, spade means amongst other bad connotations, arguments, illness, or death. However, she later deals the cards again, and the same 4 cards keep showing up. She also decided to deal the 5th card, which was named the Lightning Struck Tower. Sybil said this meant disaster. This was obviously meant to be the Astronomy Tower, where Albus Dumbledore was killed by Severus Snape with the killing curse. She had gone to tell Dumbledore about the cards, but he didn't seem to believe her, and told her he would prefer less visit from her in the future. This should be taken as a true prediction, but it was not one Sybil understood. Trelawney made many predictions. Some of them turned out true, some didn't. Some are useful and some aren't. In the end, we can just assume that she at least was an average seer. Thank you so much for watching. Please consider subscribing to the channel, and see you again in the next video.